I received an order for a detailed print. It has 24 karat gold detail, hand detailing, so I'm just gonna walk you through how I do that, and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing that I do is get out my print, make sure I have my gloves on so I'm not getting fingerprints or anything on it. You want to protect the print that you're selling. I use Aqua Size, which is a water-based adhesive for the gold leaf. There's many different size options. I find it's just the easier to work with for this type of thing because I'm working on paper. What I like to do is pour out a little bit into a small container and then I will tint it. And the reason why I tint it is so that when it's dried, I can see where it's been applied. I'll find a lot of times with beginners, they'll have like little patches or holes in like a solid gold application. You can fix it, but it's not smooth and seamless. So if you're going for that really super smooth gilding look, I find it's easier if you tint the size with a tiny little bit of color. And there's no rhyme or reason here. I'll just make a few notes. The size that you put on to your surface, depending on how thick you apply it, that will show up in the final piece. So if you put little domed puddles of size, it's not gonna flatten out or self-level. It will dry that way and then it will bubble on the surface. If you want a really smooth, fully gilded application, you want to make sure you're not using too much size or there's too many brush strokes because you will see that in the final piece. When I'm doing this type of gilding, I almost want the little bubbles because it lends itself to the design, but overall I would try to avoid pooling size. Also, the size starts white and turns clear, so it should be pretty straightforward when it's dry, but just in case, you want to use the back of your knuckle and kind of tap it on top of the size and just triple check that it's actually dry before you apply. So you've applied the size, you've checked with your knuckle to make sure it's dry, and now you're ready to apply the leaf. Now I use a, what's it called? Nope, word that I'm looking for. I use a this leaf because it's much easier to apply, especially when I'm doing detailed print. If I want like a modeled look, or if I don't want a really even application, then I'll use loose leaf, but I like to use leaf for detailing prints because it's just easier. This is the gold leaf that I am using. So I picked this up when I was in Japan. There's nothing special about it other than it's from Japan. I went to the shop that was, I think they said it was from 1860. So they've been selling gold for like over 150 years from that location. Anyways, it was so cool. I also recently discovered all the things that I bought at that shop and I didn't even open them. They've been sitting there just because life got in the way. But I have so many cool things that I bought that I've never tried. So we're gonna do that, but we're doing this first. Even how it's packaged, like, ugh, just everything is so much cooler. So you add your gold, then you want to take a really soft brush. Traditionally, you could use like a squirrel brush. I use a hake brush to take off my excess gold, but basically you don't want to scratch the gold and you don't want to scratch the print. So you want to be really careful with this. And after that, you're pretty much done. One of the questions I get asked like all the time, every time I post a video or anything about gold, this is probably the #1 thing that people ask me. What do you do with the excess leaf? Like, people are really scared that I dump it out or that it doesn't get saved. And to be honest, a lot of it doesn't. If I'm doing like a bunch and it's flying all over the place, which definitely does happen, kind of hard to save. But for the most part, I try to save it if I can. I actually put it into a really fine powder, all the little excess bits, especially if it's real gold. If it's Dutch gold, you can't grind it up like that, so it doesn't work the same way. But if it's real gold, I'll take the little scraps and I'll grind it up into a really fine powder. And then you can also use that to apply again. It kind of like, it never expires, it's gold. So yeah, that's the benefit of using 24 karat gold. It will never tarnish, it will never change. It stays the way it comes. And that's why it's really good for detailing prints. I will then sign the print, stick it in a sleeve and ship it. I'm not packaging this one because the customer is picking it up from my home and they requested that it stays flat. Side note on prints, I will always suggest shipping flat if you can. Prints do not benefit from being rolled up in a tube for long periods of time. So even if you do ship it, you should let your customer know that they should keep it flat or take it out of the tube if they're waiting for it to be framed. It's just better for the print. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this super short video on how I detail my prints and a little peek into the gilding process. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and ask me. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I love nerding out about process and materials and all of those things. So let me know. And if you like this video, please subscribe.